Hi, hello, how are you? And welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name's Katie. I am a licensed acupuncturist. I talk about all things wellness, and I am so glad that you came. Today, we are going to talk about seasonal allergies. This is the number one most common thing I get asked about all the time when I tell people that you can treat them naturally, that you can get over them and not get them anymore. It is just like mind-blowing. And people want to know more, so here I am making a video for you so that you can learn how to improve your allergies totally naturally. In this video, we are going to talk about three things. Number one, we are going to talk about why allergies are happening in the first place. Number two, we are going to talk about how you can really address the root cause of your allergies. And then number three, we are going to talk about some herbs and strategies and things that you can do right now to feel better so that you don't have to struggle with those itchy, watery eyes anymore. So let's get into it. Sip to my anti-allergy tea while I sit here. So allergies happen when your body basically just completely overreacts to something that really isn't that dangerous. You breathe in a little bit of pollen and your body goes, oh my gosh, we have to kill this immediately. When in reality, we all know that just a little bit of pollen, a little bit of ragweed, it's not gonna kill you. You probably already know the common signs of allergies if you're watching this video, but it's stuff like itchy, watery eyes, sneezing, post-nasal drip, congestion, kind of just feeling like you have a cold even when you don't. So the question that you might be asking is, why is your body overreacting to something like pollen and like your cousins, sisters, friends is not? They can breathe all the ragweed in the world and they're totally fine. And a lot of that may come down to the bacteria that lives in your gut. And your gut health is probably not the same as your friends, cousins, neighbors, whoever. Your gut houses about 70% of your immune system. And research is increasingly showing that the guts of people who have allergies and people who do not have allergies have different bacteria growing in them. And in particular, adults who have allergies have less diversity of their gut bacteria, so fewer different kinds of bacteria living in their digestive system. And interestingly, if we look at kids who are exposed to antibiotics or medications like acid blockers early in life, these are medications that are known to decrease the diversity of gut bacteria. They are more likely to develop allergies as they get older. When the balance of bacteria in your gut is off, it makes you more susceptible to chronic inflammation in your gut. And that can lead to something called leaky gut syndrome. Basically what happens is the lining of your gut becomes very slightly permeable. And this allows partially digested food molecules to cross through your gut lining and into your bloodstream. In your bloodstream, your body will immediately and correctly identify that those food molecules are not supposed to be there. And what it will do is it'll create an immune reaction to that food so that you can get it out. If you're constantly having these molecules in your bloodstream that your body is constantly reacting to, that puts your body into a state of chronic inflammation. And this basically perfectly primes your body for seasonal allergies. So how can you fix your gut health in order to fix your seasonal allergies? We can heal your gut, we can get rid of that leaky gut syndrome, and we can improve the biodiversity of the bacteria that's living in your intestines. The only catch is that it is going to require patience and it is going to require persistence. You didn't develop your leaky gut overnight, and unfortunately you can't solve it overnight either. Just like an injury anywhere else on your body, it takes time to heal. So how do you do it? Well, I'm so glad that I asked myself that question so that I could tell you the answer. I love to use a three-part strategy. So we're gonna weed, we're gonna seed, and then we're gonna feed. Weed, seed, feed. It's catchy. You remember that? Okay, so step one, weed. The good bacteria and the bad bacteria in your gut eat different things. To weed out the bad bacteria, we're going to essentially starve them out by getting rid of the foods that make them really happy. We also want to remove those inflammatory triggers that are getting through your gut lining so that your body's immune response can just relax. And now, I cannot emphasize this enough, your gut is unique. And when someone tells you, oh, I healed my gut by taking out gluten, that might have worked really well for them. It doesn't mean that that's going to work for you. And so the best approach is always going to be very personalized and listening to your body. I highly recommend a food sensitivity test. And what that's going to do is it's going to tell us which foods your body is reacting to. It's going to look at your blood and see what your blood is responding to, so we know which foods are getting through the leaky gut and causing problems. I'm going to link below one of my favorite food sensitivity tests that you can do at home. You are going to use this as a jumping off point. Don't take it as absolute truth. Sometimes those will come back with sort of false positives. So when you get your food sensitivity test back, look at the foods that are on it, start by removing or diminishing those, and then adding them back in and seeing how you feel. I would also ideally recommend working with a professional when you do this, someone who can guide you through and help you to understand what might be a red herring and what is real. However, if you don't have your food sensitivity test and you're just looking for general, common, frequent triggers, we can go through those too. Common triggers that are inflammatory and feed bad bacteria in your gut are going to be sugar and sugar substitutes. So the fake sugar does not get you out of this. Processed foods, alcohol, I know you don't want to hear it, but alcohol, refined oils, and gluten. I know. I used the gluten example a second ago. Maybe it's true for you and maybe it's not true for you, but it is true for a lot of people. It can be extremely inflammatory. So after you've removed the foods that are feeding the bad bacteria and making the problem worse, you want to seed your gut with good bacteria. This is going to be adding in more of those beneficial, healthy bacteria, and you can do that through foods or through probiotics. Foods that are rich in probiotics are also delicious, in my humble opinion. Kombucha, kimchi, kefir. I don't know why these all start with K. Sauerkraut, that's not a K. And high quality yogurt. I say high quality yogurt because not all yogurt has live cultures in it. So you want the label to say live cultures. You also want to look at the sugar content of your yogurt. Ideally, it's going to be plain yogurt. If you can't stomach plain yogurt, you can just like mix in a little bit of jam, but that's going to give you a lot more control over the sugar content because, as you may remember, sugar, not so good for your gut health. And then finally, possibly most importantly, we get to the third step, which is feeding the good bacteria. We want to keep the good bacteria in your gut. Good bacteria thrives on something that we call prebiotics. Prebiotics are fibers and carbohydrates that are usually in plants that pass through your digestive system undigested and get to your intestine where your bacteria can feed on it and use it as food. Prebiotics are mainly in plants and whole grains. Some of my favorite prebiotic foods are going to be things like fruits, apples, and bananas. Both have tons. Green vegetables like spinach, asparagus, and then whole grains like oats and barley. Okay, great. So now we're working on your gut health. We understand what's causing the allergies, but how can we help you to feel better right now? My absolute favorite is going to be acupuncture and acupressure, which can help clear your sinuses out and help support a healthy immune response. There is tons of research to support this, and if you haven't tried it yet, I highly recommend. If you aren't able to get in and see an acupuncturist in real life, check out an acupressure app. There's one going to be linked below that you can do at home. Next thing I'm going to add is something called quercetin. Quercetin is a plant extract that acts as a natural antihistamine. It's found naturally in lots of foods: apple skins, berries, red grapes, red onions, capers, and black tea. My true preference is for you to be eating those foods because a lot of them are also prebiotics. So it's like 2 birds, 1 stone. However, if you need a shortcut, you can also purchase it as a supplement. Please always check with your doctor about supplements and dosages. For most people, 200 to 400 milligrams up to 3 times a day is a good dose. Next, I want to talk about stinging nettle tea. Stinging nettle is an amazing herb that has been clinically shown to reduce inflammation in the pathways that are associated with seasonal allergies. You can find it in your natural food store as a tea, but also just check the label and make sure it actually has stinging nettle in it and there's not a bunch of other flavoring and other junk. And then the last thing I will add is that as you start your healing journey, please be mindful that if you are also stopping an allergy medication, it is very common to have essentially a rebound effect. This can completely depend on which medication you're taking and what dose, but symptoms can be like itching, burning, changes to your sleep, excess mucus. And if you're trying a more natural route, just be prepared that these symptoms might come up. It is not a sign that what you're doing naturally isn't working. It's just a sign that you're coming off of a different medication. But again, please always discuss any of those side effects with your doctor. Anyway, I hope this has been really helpful. I'm excited for you to start your healing journey, getting rid of your allergies. allergies, and I would love to know how it works for you and if there are any other topics you'd love for me to cover.